Welcome back! Today on Dialed In DIY, I have another home-based easy fix-it tip. Recently moved into a new home and found a gentle sound of water running ever so distant in the background in every bathroom in the house. And a quick check of the toilets showed the water running on the inside as well, which meant they're leaking at the seals. But this is an easy fix. There's typically two types of seals inside of a toilet, and I've done a lot of repairs on the flapper valve type, which are pretty easy to fix. All you have to do is turn off the water underneath the toilet, I'll show that in a second, drain the tank, and then just unhook both sides of that flapper, and then reverse the process with a new one. It's easy to figure out the type you need. You basically look inside the tank, you get the model number from the lid or inside wall of the tank, then go to your favorite little hardware store and pick up the one that has the model number that matches. I was ready to do just that the first time I pulled the lid off one of the toilets in the new home and found the flapperless type, which is different. If you read the directions on how to fix one of these, it seems a lot more complicated, but I've figured out a way to do this pretty easy. Just like you do with the flapper type, turn off the water and then flush the tank and hold it down until you drain it completely. On this type, the float assembly on a flapperless valve sits against the seal to close off the flow of water into the tank. Once the seal deteriorates and wears out, the water just keeps flowing a little bit, which is why you hear the sound and start wasting a lot of water. So, I went to the store, picked up a new seal, and got ready to replace. According to the directions, I need to unthread and disconnect a couple different things, but I figured out a much easier way. Leave everything connected and just simply take the seal and fold it in half. We're just going to fish one end through the little square-sized opening on the trip lever holder, pull it across and over the end of the trip lever itself. Once I've got it over that, I'm just going to pull it back through the other side of the hole. If you look in the top left corner, you can see me doing it with a rubber band, which is much easier to see both sides of the action. What we want to accomplish next is getting that seal to come down over the overflow tube. But in order to do that, the first thing we have to do is disconnect that little hose at the top, but we're just doing that for a second or two. Just drape that seal right over the top like you're playing ring toss, drop it down to the bottom, and put the hose back. Next, you're just going to want to force the seal over the wide part of the float and all the way past and off. You're now going to work the seal just inside the ridge at the top of the shank. If you've ever changed a bike tire, it's like putting a tube over a rim or sliding a belt over a pulley. And just like those two examples, when you're done, the seal should actually be able to rotate freely between the two ridges. So now I turn the water back on, let it fill all the way up, and listen for a leak. If there isn't any, we're good to go. So then I'm just gonna flush the toilet a couple of times so that I can get rid of all that nasty inky stuff that stirred up in the water when I messed with that shank gasket a little bit. So everything's working fine now. I'm just going to clean up the tank a little bit and the rest of the toilet and move on to my next project. So you may be wondering if it's really that easy to find the parts for these kind of toilets. And actually, all I had to do was walk down the plumbing aisle at my local hardware store, and there were more parts to choose from than I needed to be able to find. And the part I needed was right there in front of my face. I just spent a couple bucks and saved a lot of money by not having to have someone else come do it for me, and I stopped the toilet from continuing to waste water that I would have had to pay for too. Thank you so much for stopping by Dialed In DIY today. I appreciate you taking the time to check out my video. I hope you got a little something out of it, or maybe learned a new skill or two. And if so, if you could let me know by clicking that thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. And also, as long as you're here, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and ring the bell so you can get future notifications. And come on back in the future because there will be plenty more Dialed In DIY to come.